Hello, Vincent Carroll speaking, tutorial number 31, gynecology. I've been asked to do a number of tutorials on gynecology. Well, I was asked to do a tutorial on gynecology, but I will work into a number of tutorials because it's such a very, very big area. I mean, anybody in practice, from an acupuncture practice point of view, will know that a large number of people coming to acupuncture tend to be coming with gynae-related issues. And certainly at Lansdowne College, I mean, the walk-in patients that come during each teaching session, a disproportionate number have gynae-related issues. So it's out there and it's something that there's a popular, I suppose, perception within the general public that acupuncture has something to contribute in the whole world of gynae, and indeed it does. And what do we mean by gynae? Well, we mean a lot of stuff in the lower jaw, anything that could simply give a bloated feeling to the lower abdomen, interference with the menstrual cycle, interference with fertility, for example, menopause, of course, various lumps and bumps as well, polycystic ovary disease, fibroids, and of course the various sort of carcinoma as well. All of that is all in the world of gynae, and that will certainly take more than one sort of video session. But let's start somewhere. We all have to start somewhere in life, so why not menopause? Okay, so what are the characteristics of menopause from a Western medical point of view, and how does it line up with acupuncture way of viewing it? Well, first and foremost, I suppose there tends to be the sweating in bed at night. Many people will speak about hot flushes, and those hot flushes often relate to a form of sweating which may be hot or may be cold. But the fact that they're sweating in bed at night indicates deficiency, and it's a form of yin deficiency. If you are clipping the hedging and the sun is blazing down on you, obviously you'll sweat. And what's happening there is the sweat is pushed out of the sweat glands by the excess activity that you're engaged in. But because the muscles at the entrance to each sweat gland, even though they're taut, the sweat is still forced out. Whereas in bed at night, if one sweats, that simply means that the muscles at the entrance to the sweat glands are not held taut. Now, this is the Western medical way of looking at it, and therefore the sweat comes out. From an acupuncture medical way of looking at it, there is a deficiency there, and the deficiency allows sweat to flow out. That sweat, of course, may be hot, not very, very hot, because we're talking about empty heat. That's heat by virtue of a collapse of yin, rather than heat by virtue of the presence of external heat brought in. So it's an empty heat. It's a heat due to deficiency. It's a yin deficiency. So yin deficiency and menopause are very closely related. So you look for other evidence of yin deficiency. And again, in menopause, many people will speak about losing a sense of focus, a sense of sharpness, a sense of ability to complete tasks, for example. And again, from an acupuncture point of view, that again corresponds to yin deficiency, where there's a certain purposelessness about one's activity, both physical activity and mental activity. So, for example, the person may be engaged in many tasks, but perhaps failing to complete those tasks in a timely way. Or equally, the person's mind could be racing in a negative, speculative way. And many people in menopause will speak in terms of that. There's also the whole concept of the period flow drying up, and that again is a sign of a blood deficiency, and of course blood is part of yin, so that's again more evidence of yin deficiency. And of course it doesn't stop suddenly. There's a lead in, and that lead in also shows sort of signs of deficiency, where there might be perhaps a lessening of the flow, or there might be a certain unpredictability to it, stopping, starting, spotting, so on and so forth, and all of that tends to be signs of yin deficiency as well. So therefore, if a person has sort of is in the menopause or perimenopausal sort of period of their life, the likelihood is yin could become deficient, and the treatment therefore is to preserve yin at all cost. So and it's interesting, because in many walks of life, if yin can become deficient where there is significant medical events occurring, and menopause is a significant medical event, but also if a person, for example, had other serious medical issues, that can also cause yin deficiency. So, for example, chronic pain can cause yin deficiency. Say a long history of rheumatoid arthritis could cause yin deficiency, because again, yin corresponds to qualities like serenity and calmness and peacefulness and intuitiveness and words like that. And if one has chronic pain, one lacks that. Also, for men, retirement can also lead to a yin deficiency, or more likely than not a yang deficiency, because it's the way men often go down the yang deficient route rather than the yin deficient route, although a significant number of men also go down the yin deficient route. But what can trigger it for them is their loss of identity that occurs when they retire. But a person perhaps can have a certain sort of loss of identity maybe during menopause, and because of that, that can also cause yin deficiency. So there are strong correlations between menopause and yin deficiency. So what does one do? Well, one treats yin. How does one treat yin? I mean, the standard, I suppose, point for treating yin must surely be Ren 4, which is 3 swing below the centre of the navel midline. And that's sort of a wonderful point. Many acupuncturists will say that's their favourite point. One needs to calm as well, pericardium 6, maybe pericardium 7, because what conserves yin? Well, a very good night's sleep will help your yin. A sense of purposefulness, a sense of serenity, a sense of calmness, a sense of wonderment, a sense of looking forward to events that are going to occur. And all that has to take over. And for many people, of course, it does. But for many people, it doesn't. And that's the problem. And for those people that perhaps view menopause as perhaps a loss of identity, a disaster, a medical sort of event that they'd rather avoid, that they're quite sort of worried and unprepared for it, then in that case yin deficiency will be much more apparent than the person who has conserved their yin and who has multiple aspects to their identity and multiple things to do that create a sense of serenity and a sense of calmness within the person. So those are the main, that's the main approach from a menopause point of view. Look after your yin, prepare for it, have your yin in abundance in coming up to when you expect menopause to occur or when there's signs of perimenopausal symptoms occurring. Concentrate on tonifying your yin then, and that sort of makes, I suppose, the menopause less abrupt, more natural, a longer lead in, and sort of ultimately at the end a more satisfactory outcome and a medical free outcome. And that's really what people want. So again, tonify yin, nourish blood, and be serene. Thank you.